When Liverpool smashed the British transfer record by signing Alexander Isak for around 130 million British pounds, the football world gasped. Is any striker outside of Erling Haaland and Kylian Mbappe actually worth that sum? With a 23-goal season, Isak probably is close, but how does he measure up against Europe's elite? And what does his price tag mean for the transfer market? Today, let's find out. This is Andy, back with another solo episode of the Shaft Sports podcast. And on this show, I evaluate the value of Alexander Isak. We'll compare him with the best strikers in Europe: Erling Haaland, Mbappe, Harry Kane, Robert Lewandowski, Osimhen, Dembele, and Mohamed Salah, and examine how his record fee might reshape future transfers. So first, a quick question, probably the 130 million pound question, is does Isak's production and the produce that he's given in football so far justify a 130 million fee? Is he worth that much? Because that's very, very huge price tag. Or is it just that because Newcastle demanded it and Liverpool had to pay it, then they have to pay? Isak scored 23 Premier League goals last season, ranking him behind only Salah's 29 and Haaland's 22 in England. Mind you, this was a poor season for Haaland, right? And most of us would call it a poor season for Haaland. And Isak still ranks behind him. Across the past two seasons, he has had 44 league goals against, and again, trailing just Salah and Haaland. And mind you, Haaland probably had roughly that, even more than that amount of goals in his first season in England. His run of 8 consecutive games, which is Isak here, with a goal underscores his consistency in some instances when he's very, very much available. So Isak's efficiency and versatility is seen to be things that are adding value to him. He excels as a first-time finisher, and he has scored 6 goals from outside the box since 2022. He can lead the line, drift wide, drop deep, dragging defenders out of position and creating spaces for fullbacks, 10s, and other playmakers to drift inwards. He's also able to link play really, really well, like we've seen with top strikers like Harry Kane. And all these qualities make him more than a standard striker. The other thing, though, is that Harry Kane produces way more in terms of his goals than Isak has done, despite also dropping in and possessing all these features. So when assessing the fee, we must consider inflation, obviously. And Kieran Maguire reminds us Kieran Maguire is a financial expert who deals in football. And he reminds us that Alan Shearer's 1996 transfer would equate to 222 million today if inflation were to apply strictly. And with Real Madrid paying north of 150 million for Jude Bellingham and other clubs, 150 million euros, by the way, for Jude Bellingham and other clubs spending 90 million on up-and-coming players, Isak's price tends to fit within the boundaries of an inflationary market, right? And Liverpool view him as a proven performer rather than a gamble, barring that he's very much available and he's not going to suffer any injuries. So after hearing these numbers, do you think 23 goals and all-round play should justify 130 million in this market? Send your thoughts in the comments and let's see. And how do you rate Isak amongst the top strikers as well? The second key question that I want us to answer is how does Isak compare with Haaland, Mbappe, Kane, Lewandowski, Dembele, and the king of Egypt, Mohamed Salah? Let's start with Kylian Mbappe. The French superstar has scored 31 league goals in 2024-2025 for Real Madrid, which people still think that Madrid didn't do well, but he had a standout season. He combines blistering pace with ruthless finishing and is a perennial Ballon d'Or favorite. He is younger than Isak and commands enormous marketing appeal than Isak as well. If you look at Mohamed Salah, for instance, Liverpool's talisman has scored 29 league goals and supplies double-digit assists almost every season. He's approaching 33, so Liverpool see Isak as his eventual heir in terms of the number and the volume of goals that he's going to be producing. But would you take Isak to guarantee you the productivity, not just that, the availability and the longevity of Mohamed Salah? I think most people would sit down, listen to these three stats or these three metrics and go like, probably not. Then there's Robert Lewandowski. The Barcelona striker finished with 27 La Liga goals, even after some injuries. And at the age of 37, he still remains probably one of the most prolific strikers in Europe, but is nearing, obviously, the twilight of his careers. But even him is producing more goals than Alexander Isak, and he would not go for the value that he's saying. Probably Isak's age and him being a proven goal scorer in the Premier League fits more for the reasons why he's going for this price. Fourth, let's look at Harry Kane. He dominated the Premier League for so long, was blistering for Spurs. He was started for a big move to some of the big sides. But obviously, Daniel Levy, who is the owner of Spurs, didn't want to let the most prolific striker in the league at the time leave to join a rival and come back to haunt them. So Bayern Munich came in and were able to make a deal, and he's joined them. And he scored 26 Bundesliga goals last season in 31 games, and he offers world-class finishing, playmaking, and he turns 32 next season. I think he's scored almost 100 goals for Bayern Munich now, and he's prolific in his goal return. But more importantly, he's super available. Harry Kane barely gets injured, and I think that's one big advantage he has over Alexander Isak. The fifth comparison is Isak himself. With 23 goals in 34 appearances, he ranked 6th in Europe's Golden Shoe standings. At 25, he's still developing. His versatility suits Liverpool's fluid attack, but yet he lacks the track record, the reputation, the guarantee, and the availability of Mbappe, Haaland, and the likes of Harry Kane. So if you look at this, it's very, very difficult to view whether or not he commands that fee and whether Liverpool could get what they want out of him. Sixth is Erling Haaland. Despite injury issues himself, he still scored 22 Premier League goals and remains the benchmark for modern forwards, having netted 52 goals in all competitions the prior season. His combination of power, pace, and finishing accuracy is probably unmatched among global strikers today. Maybe the other player that you think matches him is Kylian Mbappe, not in terms of strength, but in terms of pace and finishing abilities. But Erling Haaland combines that with power, and he makes him super, super fearful, and he bullies defenders with the kind of power and strength that he has. I don't think Isak is that kind of player, but Isak is slick, smart, and very, very agile, so he's able to finish in the kinds of ways that you want. Finally, think about Ousmane Dembele, the PSG winger. The PSG winger netted 22 goals in Ligue 1, showcasing a resurgent scoring touch. He primarily operates wide and has injury problems in the past, but he's been consistent recently, and he's also very, very much rated this season or in the past footballing season. Analyzing these numbers shows that Isak's output is obviously elite, but yet not at the level of Mbappe or Haaland. He's not in that tier of elite, top elite levels. His age and potential justifying probably paying a premium now, but to be mentioned alongside the very best, he must transfer his scoring to the Champions League stages, to the quality of games that Liverpool will be playing, to the quality of eliteness demanded by Liverpool supporters, and to contribute significantly to Liverpool's retention of the Premier League this season. If you want, rank these strikers for me, rank these 7 strikers. Let me know how you would rank them, actually. Not that if you want. Actually rank them in the comments for me. Let me see. Mbappe, Salah, Lewandowski, Kane, Isak, and Haaland, and Dembele. Who do you rank first? Who do you rank second? Let's see the rankings to 7th. And maybe Rasmus and I would do a reaction to those rankings and would obviously have a discussion about Europe's elite strikers. Your rankings should be based on their current ability and future upside, all that. And share your list in the comments, and we'll definitely compare the rankings very soon. Finally, let's look at transfer inflation and the effects of this also on the inflation of the transfer market. Because how does Isak's record fee, for instance, reshape the market, and what expectations come with it? The transfer continues a trend of record-breaking deals. Isak's fee eclipses the previous British record and keeps pace with Real Madrid's Galactico spending. Clubs with state-backed wealth are normalizing nine-figure transfers in the Premier League and in world football recently. Yet, with big wages come lofty expectations. Jurgen Klopp once warned that paying 100 million for one player risks disaster if the player gets injured. Isak will be judged harshly. Anything less than 25 league goals and meaningful Champions League contributions will be heavily scrutinized, torn apart by every single analyst in the Premier League and in world football. Those concerns are amplified by his injury record because he might not even be available to contribute to these games to begin with. This deal would also put upward pressure on future transfers. Selling clubs will cite Isak's price when negotiating for emerging strikers such as Benjamin Sesko, or other strikers that are out there within the market. Wages would follow fees. Players expect bigger salaries to match skyrocketing valuations within the market as well. So this is not just an implication on what selling clubs would demand, but also what the player who is being transferred would demand, which is the very issue that caused Isak to want to leave Newcastle to begin with. Because he says, you value me at 150 million, give me the wages of a 150 million pound player, and Newcastle is not able to provide that, right? So now players would start demanding transfer fees that match wages that match the level of a player with the tag that they have. Meanwhile, it might not necessarily be a tag that's a reflection of their quality. It's just a reflection of market dynamics and inflation. Finally, there's financial sustainability. Under Premier League profit and sustainability rules, clubs must balance spending with revenue. The UCL and UEFA also have their PSR, right? Their profit and sustainability rules or spending regulations. Liverpool will rely on Champions League income and global merchandising, and potential player sales to offset this record fee. Obviously, I do not think this affects Liverpool that much, also because they didn't have a huge spending spree last transfer. They basically didn't spend last transfer, and they've done quite a good business this season, and by winning the league, also getting a lot more money in. So, which player do you think would break this 130 million transfer fee in the next season cycle? Maybe it would stick for a while, but maybe it might be broken. Would it be a teenager? Would it be a player that you've spotted somewhere in Europe? Send us, again, your thoughts. Who do you think is the hottest prospect on the market to be able to break transfer record fees in probably any of Europe's top 5 leagues? Alexander Isak is obviously an exceptional striker whose movement, intelligence, finishing have powered Newcastle into Europe and now has attracted Liverpool, the champions of the English Premier League, to not just aggressively hunt him, but to break their own internal transfer record and break the EPL's transfer record to get him. Yet his output sits a tier below generational talents like Mbappe and Haaland, and also Harry Kane. And his injury history invites caution. Liverpool's gamble reflects both belief in his potential and the reality of an inflated market. So let's see how that balances out. Let's see whether Isak would deliver for Liverpool what Liverpool expects. Thank you for listening to this deep dive. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, rate us if you're on Spotify with 5 stars, and share this episode as well. Tell me which player or which topic you'd like us to analyze next, and we'll definitely get onto it. Myself and Erasmus, who is co-founder of this podcast, really appreciate you listening. And until next time, this is Andy signing off from the Shaft Sports Podcast.